Hey guys, it's Dave here, back with another video on investing. Today I just wanted to make a quick one talking about a few trades I've made recently. When I started this channel, something I committed to myself is that I would always be completely open to everyone about any trades and moves I'm making with stocks that I talk about on the channel. So if I hold some ETF that I maybe have never mentioned on the channel, I might buy or sell that without telling you guys. But if I'm talking about a company on the channel to you guys, I will always tell you if I'm buying, selling, whatever I'm doing. I think it's just good to be transparent like that, but I want to make it clear, please do not just try to copy what I'm doing. Every investor is responsible for all their own decisions. What's good for my portfolio might not be good for yours. We might have different investor characteristics, different goals, different timelines, and different appetite for risk. And I just might make a mistake. I have made mistakes before, and I'm sure I will again. It's just part of the game. So if you're buying Rocket Lab, that's fully your decision. And that being said, of course, I am buying, and I just want to go through some of the trades I am making. I already held some shares before this week, but as I was looking at the stock, it reminded me a lot of back in 2018, I think it was maybe 2017, when I was looking at Tesla, and I already owned a little bit of Tesla. Back then, the stock was absolutely getting hammered. It was a really difficult time. People were talking about them maybe going out of business if they couldn't ramp up their Model 3 successfully. So I had conviction in the company, and I bought more at those low levels. That price today is $50 a share. There's been a split since then, but if you adjust for that, my cost was $50 a share. And then a few years later, Tesla rockets up to $1,200 a share. So absolutely a massive return, probably the best investment I've ever made. And then I was left kicking myself saying, why didn't I buy more? Why didn't I buy more? Because at that time, I only put about $6,000 into it. I did get something like a 16x return. So it turned into like $120,000 American, which was great. But just imagine if I had put like $20,000 into it, or $50,000 even, or $100,000, I'd be retired right now, right? I did have that kind of money, but I was not willing to take that much of a risk on that stock. So, I made a modest investment and got a phenomenal return. And I'm feeling a little bit similar with Rocket Lab right now. It's like getting beaten down. It's so low. Nothing can go right. The markets are in free fall. And I feel like, maybe not that massive of a return, but I think the potential could be there for a 5x, 10x type thing over the next 5 years, especially when you talk about Rocket Lab in the threes. Like, it's super low right now. They have like over $700 million on their balance sheet in cash, I believe, when I last checked. And the market cap of it is something like $1.6 billion at this rate. So if you just take off that cash that they have, that means they're valuing the rest of the company, their assets, all their intellectual property, all those great people. You're valuing that at less than $1 billion. I don't know. To me, it's a good deal right now. So I don't have any free cash right now. It's very painful. The markets have gone way down, obviously. And in order to buy more, I had to sell stocks, and they were stocks that have themselves been hit. So it was a very difficult decision for me, but I did buy more, and that was kind of the thought process behind it. Now, the stock might very well fall lower. I'm looking at a time horizon here of 5 years to have a good return on my investment. So short term, anything could happen. I mean, it could even drop to the twos. I don't see that happening. To me, that would be absolutely crazy, but you never know. So don't go buying it now thinking, in 2 weeks it's going to jump up again, because it might not. It may stay at these levels for a year even. Who knows? But having said that, let's go and jump into the analysis where I show you guys the trades that I actually have made this past week. Before we hop into that, actually, just a quick note for you guys. Noticed it on Rocket Lab's investor relations page today. Great news for all of us investors. Rocket Lab's lunar photon completed its 6-orbit raise burn for NASA's Capstone mission to the moon. As you know, I was talking about it previously. This is an extremely important mission for Rocket Lab, extremely high profile. They're sending a satellite for NASA to the moon in a rectilinear orbit, the same orbit that their new space station for the Artemis program will be occupying, just to test everything out, make sure the orbit works properly, and perform a few measurements and tests. So this is the first time their Photon kickstage spacecraft has to perform this many relights of its engines to raise its orbit around the Earth before finally shooting it out to the moon. And the first 6 burns have now been successful, and there's only 1 burn remaining. This 6th burn we just had was originally scheduled to be 2 burns, but the team determined that their engine would be capable of performing a single maneuver to accomplish that same delta V, so, gain that same speed. And so they combined 2 burns into this 1 burn, meaning there's only 1 left. And if that final burn completes successfully, then they hand off the mission to the satellite operator, and they have successfully completed that contract. $30 million, I believe it was. Extremely complicated, extremely difficult mission. And if it's a success, it's a great sign of things to come. They can do a lot more things with this Photon spacecraft, talking about sending things to Venus and all sorts of missions. So if this proves the capability of the spacecraft, a great thing for the company for sure, as well as, of course, the revenue that comes with the contract being completed. Okay, so now let's just talk about the trades I made today. As I said, I don't have any free cash at this point, which is extremely painful because I really want to be buying. So if I want to buy Rocket Lab, I have to sell something else, and that something else will have inevitably dropped this year because the whole market has dropped this year. So first off, on the 28th, I sold Microsoft. This is a painful one for me. I just love holding Microsoft as a company. It's not gonna, 5x anytime soon. It's too mature of a company, too massive of a company for that. But extremely solid to hold in your portfolio, extremely safe, I find. And they generally just perform year after year. They execute. I think they have a great CEO, great products. Their cloud offerings are massive and growing quickly. Microsoft Teams has really edged out Slack, it feels like, in the office communications world, and it's just a great company to hold. So selling that is extremely painful for me, but I just felt like Rocket Lab has that potential for 5x, 10x returns down the line. So I pulled the trigger on that, and I sold about $3,000 American of Microsoft. I do still have a little bit more in one of my other accounts, so I'm not completely out of Microsoft, but it's just a trade I had to make, or I felt I had to make, even though it was extremely painful. So this was $4.07 a share we bought at, and that came out to adding 770 shares of Rocket Lab to our account. This is my tax-free account, so if I do happen to get a big gain down the line on Rocket Lab, I won't have to pay any taxes on that, which is great. That's one of the other things I didn't do in my big Tesla trade I'm trying to learn from. Obviously, I had that massive return. When I sell that, I'm going to have a huge tax bill to pay, which will be extremely painful. I'll lose half my returns on that. So putting this in my tax-free account is definitely a plus. And then I also sold Corsair Gaming the next day on June 29th. It's another one that I feel like it may have potential. It's been really beaten down, so obviously I had a big loss on it. But I just felt Rocket Lab has more potential. I have more confidence in it. So even though I am selling this company at a loss, and I think there is potential for it going forward, and by the way, I have made a Corsair video previously, so if you're interested in Corsair, you may want to check that out. But I did end up closing out that position just because I am more excited about Rocket Lab as a company. So that's another $2,500 that we bought, which came out to another 700 shares. We got a better price this time the next day as it fell even further, $3.70 a share. And then on June 30th, the next day, once again, we fell even further. And I was like, this is when I was really like, okay, I don't want to do what I did with Tesla and buy too little. If I really have strong conviction, I want to keep going. So I once again sold a company. Now, this is a Canadian company called TELUS. They're a wireless carrier, kind of like a T-Mobile type thing. They do cell, they do home internet, and they pay a good dividend. It's a great company to hold for the long term just to be safe. They haven't been hit as badly as Rocket Lab in these current market conditions. The dividend payers, the safer companies, are generally faring a little better right now. So it's another great company to hold long term if you want a safe, stable portfolio, a dividend payer that's giving you like 6% plus in your account every year. But I decided to sell that. I actually did still have a bit of a gain on it, so I took that gain, but that'll be offset by the loss here. So I shouldn't have to pay taxes on that. And I put another $5,700 into Rocket Lab. So between these three trades, we're probably looking at over $10,000 American we added to the position this past week. And I already held some shares. That brings our totals. We have two separate accounts here, so two separate totals. This one account, we had more shares before at a higher cost basis, so we're looking at $6.48 is our average price, and this average price on the other account is, I'm very excited about, $3.62 per share, I think is a great average price, and looking forward to seeing how that performs going forward. I do think, Rocket Lab is not set to explode or anything like that. We're probably looking at a great return, I find, when they start to turn a profit. Usually that's when these growth companies really pop, when people realize, whoa, they're making money now. They're not going to go out of business. They're not going to have to raise more capital. They're like a real company. It just can go through the roof. That's kind of what happened with Tesla. That happens with a lot of companies I find, and I think we're still probably 2-3 years out before we turn a profit. So this is really a long-term play, but I think it's still a great price for the company. I mean, even if we got back to where they originally went public, around $10 a share, that's still more than a 3x from here. Well, maybe around a 3x. And I might not be done. So if the stock may continue to go down, and if it does, I will actually probably be happy about that. I know I'll be losing money, but it'll give me the chance to add even more shares at an even cheaper price in a company I believe in long term. So if we see it get even lower, like $3.40, $3.30, $3 a share somehow, I don't imagine we'll hit $3, but who knows these days? The markets are so ridiculous with the interest rates rising. So I might add more in the weeks to come. Some painful stocks that I had to sell here. Nothing I really wanted to sell. Nothing I was looking to get out of. Just some trades that I felt the risk reward was better for Rocket Lab than these other companies, even though these are some pretty solid companies with the exception of Corsair, which is a little bit more of a risky speculative play. But even Corsair at these prices, I feel like is really de-risked. Like they make money, they're trading at a decent multiple. So yeah, that's what I did over the past week or so. Let's head back and wrap up the discussion. So just to wrap up this quick video, over the past week, I've added about $10,000 American in Rocket Lab stock. Average price has probably been somewhere around $3.75. I made one trade that was $4.07. I made one trade that was $3.58 per share. So probably averages out around $4 or $3.75. If it goes down, I will not be depressed. I will probably add more somehow. I'll have to sell something else, which will be extremely painful, but I just don't have cash anymore, which is, I feel like now is the time you want to have cash. So it's extremely frustrating for me, but I think it will pay off in the long run. So that's where I stand today, being fully transparent with you guys. If if I'm wrong here, I'm going down with the ship. I'm not telling you to buy something I don't buy, and actually I'm not telling you to buy anything at all. I'm just telling you what I did. Everyone's responsible for doing their own research, their own due diligence, making their own decisions. If you do decide to buy RKLB, make sure you understand that that's on you and not on anyone else, as every trade is for every investor. I will be going into a couple more RKLB videos in the next few days. I think I've got a couple good ones lined up. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit like and subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks. Bye.